you're getting ready to buy a new or used car, the first question you have to answer when you start looking is, am I going to look for an electric car or am I going to look for a gas engine car? How do you decide which is best for you? I know. Let's go to YouTube and see what we can find out. Where were you?
What, nothing? Hey, it's Chance here with Drive the Lightning, the positively charged EV channel, answering that question. Electric or gas, which is better? By the way, is one truly better than the other? Let's talk about it.
Should everyone be driving electric? Should everyone be driving gas? What do you think?
Now, we drive electric. That's all we drive. So does that mean we think everybody should do that? Well, probably, but here's the caveat. As people talk about this, Sarah, they're either one side or the other. It's electric for everybody and that's it, or it's
gas for everybody and that's it.
And there seems to be no room for discussion, and I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And as a positively charged EV channel, we foster good communication, fun, decent. We can disagree. Respectfully, but yet it's worth talking about. So let's go through some things. What makes electric right for me and Sarah? Most of our driving is done here in Grand Rapids.
Yep, we're around the town drivers 95% of our lives.
Right, which takes away one of the stigmas, which is legitimate, that the infrastructure for charging is less than perfect.
Right.
So since we only drive around town most of the time, that means we're not burdened with finding a fast charger that works,
right,
exists,
right,
doesn't cost $1 million,
right,
etc.
Right.
But Sarah, we've taken a few trips.
Yes.
And what's your takeaway?
It takes a lot longer and it takes a lot more planning on the front end. And if you have to charge at fast chargers, it's expensive.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you take ChargePoint for existence, ChargePoint chargers, if you own it, you can decide the rate. So we've parked in some tourist areas.
Yeah.
Because, hey,
that's where we want to go.
Yeah. And you pay a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's just something to factor in. But you do have to plan better, especially if you drive a low mileage EV, low range.
Guilty.
Yeah, which the Nissan Leaf is not a high range EV. So for us, it's a little harder than it might be with like a Tesla.
Right. So depending on your price range for your EV, that can make a big difference of whether an EV is a good choice for you or not.
Right, because you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get an EV that has 300 or more miles of range. Like most gas cars, have a good few hundred miles of gas range.
Right.
So if you're often driving that far and you can't afford, Kia EV6 or an Ioniq 5 or 6 or Tesla Model Y, Model 3, Model S, whatever, there's many more good options if you can afford it. But if you can't, you may have to drive either a gas car or a plug-in hybrid,
Plug-in hybrid
like a Chevy Volt.
Yeah, that could be a good solution for you. Plus, it would ease you towards the EV world. It's a good starter car.
So another option where you may choose to drive gas, when we had our window cleaning company, we had a Ford Transit XLT. That's a small, the Ford Transit Connect XLT.
Yes, that's
the small one.
Yep.
And when we heard, and it was gas, of course, we heard Ford's coming out with one. We were like, yeah! But then what happened when they came out with it, Sarah?
Well, it was really expensive.
And
huge. Yes, it's ginormous. Yeah. But also, when we bought our gas work truck, we bought a very used gas work truck because we couldn't afford a brand new work truck.
And there was no such thing
any kind of motor
as
or
an
engine
electric used work
at that
truck.
time. But even if there had been, we couldn't have afforded it. Yeah. So that wasn't going to be an option. And that's another thing you have to think about is what's your budget, and are there used EVs within your budget if you're looking for the lower end budget, or not? That price is a factor.
Yeah. And I had a conversation with a not EV fan the other day, really nice lady, and she made the point that EVs, to be adopted by the masses, need to be better, the car that people want. Now, in our case, that's true. Our 2016 Nissan Leaf is better than any gas car we've ever driven. That's our case.
Right.
But it might not be better for you.
Yeah, and bear in mind, when we got our Nissan Leaf, 2016 Nissan Leaf, we were trading in a 2008 HHR.
Yeah,
I think.
HHR. But
so
barely.
For us, it was a big upgrade.
Big upgrade. And that was a fine car, but by the time we were ready to trade it in, it was
It
not
was in trouble.
reliable. Is that safe to say?
Yes, that's very safe to
We
say.
drove it to Toledo from Grand Rapids to drive it in to
White
turn it in.
knuckle, because we didn't know if it
And
was
we're
going to make it all the
please
way.
just live till we get to the dealership, and then it could just disintegrate once I signed the papers, which it probably did.
It probably did, yeah. Vaporized.
So if there's a point to this conversation, it's this. If you're an EV enthusiast like we are,
Yes.
if you think everybody should be an EV like we do, speak kindly to people that view differently. It's okay to not agree.
Yeah, and one thing that Chad and I have found that really helps our positivity on all things is listening first. Sometimes we want to say what we want to say because we feel really strongly about it, but we learn a lot about how other people feel, especially when they feel very strongly, by listening to them first. And then I can see where their objections are, their concerns are, and we can have a conversation. Sometimes they bring things to my mind that I hadn't thought about. Sometimes their situation is so different from mine that I didn't consider that. And I love learning stuff. And the best way to learn is to listen.
So if you're going to be positively charged like us, you
Yeah.
first have to positively listen
Yeah.
to people that disagree with you kindly and compassionately, not assuming that they're wrong just because they disagree with you.
Right.
Now, we didn't come here to give anybody advice. Keep being you.
This is not a life lesson.
Be
This
you.
is just,
However you function, that's great.
this is just us.
Yeah,
This is how we
that's us.
function. So whether you are interested in buying the aptera solar-powered EV that you may never have to charge and drive for free for the
I'm
rest of
interested
your
in that.
life.
I'll buy that. Yeah.
I'm interested too. Or maybe you're interested in buying the gas-powered Hummer Super Edition. I don't know.
The Ford 7000 XL gas diesel mixed
Whatever.
combustion.
Whatever it is, we want to know, why did you make that choice? What affected your decision to make that choice? Please leave us a comment below. We want to hear what you think.
Yeah, and if you're thinking you might want to go electric, but you just have some questions, and when you're afraid to ask people because they're going to be like, well, I'm smart, just say it, let us know, and we'll answer you the way we would want you to answer us.
Right. We love communication. We don't need you to share our opinions and views. We learn from other people's opinions and views, and I think everybody who's participated in this channel gets a pretty good, except unless you're going to be negative. If you're going to be negative, you're going to get cut because no name calling, no attacks, no personal attacks. We don't tolerate it because that is not positively charged.
It is not.
And we are the positively charged.
That's why she's the
YouTube
brains
channel.
behind this operation. Thank you to the Mug Club. You mugs, my mugs. So these mugs can get to California. Here's where the map stands right now. We have a new member. See if you can figure out who it is. Let us know in the comments if you figured it out. By the way, this is the end of the Mug Club. Why?
Because we recently came across a short from Aptera that said that they have trademarked the "driven by the sun" phrase, which
is on our mugs.
Shh. Don't tell.
Which
anyway, we would
allegedly
never,
was on our mugs.
So if you have been a part of the Mug Club up until now, you've received a limited edition.
Yes, very limited
product because it is no longer available.
You're a very permanent member, but very exclusive now.
Very exclusive.
Club because we are not interested in infringing on anybody's
trademark.
It's
absolutely.
Just, we don't want it done to us. We're not going to do it to Aptera. Drivenbysolar.com still exists.
Yes, because that's not trademarked.
But you won't see that phrase.
Right.
Driven by the sun anywhere.
Members of the channel, thank you so much for being here and being members. Welcome G. Patton Hughes, our newest member. We're so glad to have you here with us. And you keep the wheels turning on the Positively Charged EV channel.
Yep. Without you, there's not us. Or there's us, but even worse lighting and sound.
Yeah,
we couldn't afford this stuff.
Or there's us, but you just don't see us.
There's us, but it's just kind of like
our camera's not
a podcast
there anymore. So yeah, it's just kind of a reality show that nobody sees.
An unreality.
No, it's reality.
A non-existent reality show.
It's a reality, but not so much a show.
This has gone off the rails.
Well, that's us. That's here. That's this.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you.